Welcome to Dan's Pro Tips. Today we are going to look at how to use Express's static module to have a single converged Express app that handles both API requests and static HTML, CSS assets. The key advantage of this is you do not have to have two different repositories, a front end and a back end, which they may fall out of sync. You also gain a major advantage in that you don't have to mess with CORS. CORS is so that you can access browser resources across different URLs or port or protocol differences. Anything in that URL that's different, you're going to need to set up CORS so your browser can actually get permission to access that resource. If your app is all on one server, like I've got set up here, let me show you the build folder. So our build folder I've set up here in my Heroku auto-deployed app. The build folder has an avatar JPEG, an index HTML, and a style CSS. Plain old static files, and as long as there's an index HTML in there, we will have an easy time mounting it into Express. So you can see here before my regular routes and before any middleware, basically right after the CORS middleware handler, I have a comment here that says optional static file handler. The way this works is you generally just put in a first argument with a slash so that if you are accessing the base of your server, it'll just look for whatever path you specify in the second argument here. So it's going to essentially build out a list of all the files in build and make them available on that route. That way, it gives you a really shorthand, convenient way to also mount these at other paths. So if you wanted to say site, and we wanted to mount it both our build files to the root and the site URL for whatever reason. This pattern, by the way, will come in handy when we look at API routes and mounting them to different suffixes or different prefixes. Let me go start the server. Excellent. So here we are getting the slash route, and we are actually getting the HTML from here, which just includes the words default page test and has my avatar. So cool, but if you noticed anything, that kind of broke our API endpoint here. And so the whole deal with these prefixes in your path is they can't overlap. Like, you need to have distinct paths for either the static assets, like your built React app or Vue app or whatever, or your backend API. As you can see in my comment here, the slash API standard, more or less, is a acceptable choice. So if I go and type in API here and say hello, and then let me save this and just show you how the site path actually gets applied here. So when I type in site, I'm still getting the same assets, and if you look here in my log, when I hit the site route, it redirected to this slash before it actually delivered the HTML. The HTML told the browser to download style CSS and avatar JPEG. So we know that these assets are coming through just fine, and they happen to be the same assets that are over here. These 304s are from previously cached requests, but trust me, these are identical. So let's get rid of that. We don't want to actually serve on the site route, but we do want to have a asset served at the slash, and any API, anything that's RESTful API, any data services will be prefixed with the slash API here, as you see on line 21. So let me go ahead and And you'll notice if I just type in API, I'll get a not found. I believe I had to say API/hello, great success. So that is how you set up routing with static assets and a dynamic API router in a converged single repo for easier deployments. That was a mouthful. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns in the comment section. I will see you next time.